Hello everyone, and welcome back to Gaming with Pun. As always, thanks to all the subscribers, and thanks to everyone that's viewed the videos or left comments. Really appreciate all the support. So as you can see, we're here in the Infernal Citadel. We're doing something a little different today. I'm here on my DC healer, and been doing some testing and stuff with the new healing. Um, I do heal some of the in-game content on occasion out of necessity. I don't play healer primarily, but I am able to heal things like Tick and Tom. Um, Quick disclaimer with that, I have had some requests for build videos for the healing cleric, but that's not something that I will probably do anytime soon, as I personally do not have a full best in slot in-game build. So you'd be better off getting that information from somebody that specializes in healing versus someone like myself that more just dabbles in healing and heals out of necessity. Um, all that being said, we'll just jump right into this. This is a new build, um, skill-wise, with encounters and everything that I'm running and been testing, and found a good amount of success with it. So that's what we've been checking out and working with, um, doing different runs and stuff, just seeing how everything plays out. Um, Contrary to what I've heard from a lot of the healers that I know, um, I personally am pretty happy with the changes to healing. Um, there's a few things that's taken quite a bit of getting used to, with timing and stuff like that, which you'll see some of that in this video, and I'll explain in more detail when we get to those points. But for now, we're just gonna continue on playing through and um, go over things kind of as they arise. So the build that I am running now, um, using Divine Glow for the divinity regeneration, is, as you know, I'm sure there is no more channel divinity, so we have to use other sources to help keep our divinity up. So Divine Glow works pretty well for that, even though it has a pretty hefty cooldown. Also using the Healing Ward. Healing Ward, even though it has a bit of a cast time, still having a good amount of success with that, so long as it's timed well. The healing magnitude is pretty decent, so it puts out a decent heal on the group, and the TiC also has a pretty good magnitude and also lasts for a good amount of time, so it's pretty decent, and had quite a bit of success using it so far. Um, Also using Intercession, um, the magnitude of the heal without having to apply any divinity resource with the heal comes in handy in quite a few situations. It's a nice oh crap button, so to speak. Very handy for snatching a DPS from really low health without losing focus on the tank, with the single target healing mechanic with the tab and the wings that you apply to single target for those bigger heals now. And you can see, even in this fight and in the next hallways and stuff after the first boss, making our way to the second boss, pretty much most of my time is spent just spamming my battle prayer or my right click at will to build our daily power throughout, the different encounters and stuff. Otherwise, through most of the trash fights and stuff like that, you'll find that the healing is really easy. Um, Most of the time, one healing ward through a trash fight is pretty much all you need, and that keeps the group up. You might have to throw an extra tab heal on the tank, but outside of that, uh, the healing ward keeps the group up fairly well as long as they're, familiar with the mechanics and able to dodge attacks and stuff that are going to do a whole lot of damage to them. Otherwise, it's quite easy still to target a DPS that took a little bit of damage with your soothe and hit them with a couple soothes and bring them back up to full health pretty much at a relatively cheap divinity cost. So not expending a whole lot of divinity for the most part in this dungeon really. At least not until the third boss really, but we'll get to that and cover that when we get to that point. Honestly, with the healing changes in a place like TiC, um, with a decent group, you could probably run without Soothe and maybe even without either Divine Glow or possibly Intercession. And you could probably substitute a damage skill in place of those. If I was going to get rid of one of the encounters, I would probably get rid of the Intercession, as my divinity never really drops below half in most of these trash fights and stuff. So through the trash fight combat leading up to the bosses, I would probably um, switch out the Soothe for your at will damage skill, and probably switch out Divine Glow even for another encounter damage skills such as Geese or the other damage skill. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head, but I think that would be completely acceptable. Um, so long as, like I said, you're running with a decent group in here that knows how to dodge the mechanics and stuff and not take a whole lot of unnecessary damage. Otherwise, one thing that I don't like about the healing now is when you're in a full-on healing situation where you need to dedicate everything that you have to your healing, you're pretty much doing absolutely no damage. So not even with an at will or anything do you have the opportunity to do damage, because all of your at wills and all of your encounters are dedicated to healing or optimizing your healing power or divinity regeneration, etc. Um, See, I do have in my daily slots the Hallowed Ground and the Healing Angel. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head either. Um, as I said before, healer is not my primary class, and I only dabble, so I know what all the skills do, but don't necessarily remember all the names of them, so sorry about that. Now, in a place like Tom, I would switch out the Angel for um, Astral Shield, or Anointed Army, I should say, and would probably switch out um, Intercession for Astral Shield, just for those specific things that you need to help mitigate and do and stuff like that in Tom. Completely unnecessary for some place like TiC, though. As you see there, one of our team members went down, got caught up in the middle of all those mobs and stunned and all that stuff. There's not much that we can do about that. Um, you take that much damage all at once, and uh, Healing Ward is too slow of a cast um, to really save somebody like in that kind of situation like you used to be able to do by spamming Bastion on the group. Um, but that kind of thing is expected. You're a DPSer and you find yourself out of place in the middle of a big pack of mobs, and especially in somewhere like TiC where they're doing a lot of controlling effects and a lot of high damage um, AoE effects like the Cambions putting the red circles under you and stuff. You get stunned and then you get one of those red circles put under your feet, and that's kind of a wrap for you. But you can see here we're doing big pulls door to door in these hallways, and tanks taking a little bit of damage getting up to the position point. Once we get to that position point, we can get ourselves set up, hit our intercession, hit our battle prayer, hit our healing ward, and then it's basically just standing back, spamming battle prayer for our daily skill, and throw out a tab heal occasionally on the tank. And as long as everybody's minding their positioning and everything, this is really easy peasy, nothing to it. And of course here we get the pack of mobs that decided they didn't want to follow, so we got to run back and kill those real quick. And I'm pretty much, throughout this whole dungeon doing the same rotation um, for each encounter. As soon as we get up to the encounter, if it's a big mob pull like these door to door, kiting the mobs to the end and the tank's taking some damage, as soon as you get to your stationary point, you just throw out your intercession, tanks back up to full, and start your battle prayer, throw out a healing ward, and from that point it's pretty much just spamming battle prayer to gain your daily power and keeping an eye on the tank to make sure he stays up. Throw out a tab heal on the tank every once in a while, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you see here we're up to the second boss already. This does work. This rotation works very well, even on this second boss. The healing ward being able to hit all your party members pretty much no matter where they're at in relation to you is pretty handy. Don't have to worry about targeted healing outside of your single target heals for the tank, or just your at will heal to bring a DPS or somebody up that's just taking a little bit of damage. So going into the second boss here, we'll start our normal rotation of taking the boss around the room. You can see we did our battle prayer. Somebody pulled threat there and the boss turned and smacked me in the face, but one quick health stone or one quick healing ward and you're right back up. So we're just here in the corner with the tank. Got the tank targeted. Just throwing our tab heals on the tank, keeping him up. Dodging the red. We have our first phase. See, a couple people got chained there and weren't able to get out, and then the tank lost the line of sight on the boss, so the boss turned around and smacked somebody else. Everybody's back up now. We're getting back in our rotation around the room and just continuing our normal rotation, keeping on our battle prayer, continually build our um, daily power, keeping throwing out that healing ward every time that TiC expires, and then just focusing our single target heals on the tank to keep him up through the Odins. And otherwise, it's just following the boss around and letting the DPS, and there's really not much else to this fight. It's pretty easy. See there, the tank is taking the Odin, and we're just throwing out our healing ward there. Tank's back up. We'll throw a couple at-wheel heals on the tank as we're moving, and he'll get positioned for the next round, and we just rinse and repeat. So this is partly a rotation that I got from another buddy of mine, so thank you, Roll, for imparting this knowledge on me. A lot of discussion about different skills and uses of different skills and stuff, and in all honesty, Bastion is still a viable heal, and the divinity cost was halved, so it's still quite spammable in certain situations. And if you're really good with the targeting, you don't have to worry about how the heal is split, because if you're able to target just the one or two people with the Bastion that need healing, it's still a very powerful heal. And with the divinity cost having been halved, it's a pretty cheap heal in regards to resources, so long as you can effectively target only the person that you're wanting to heal, and not splitting that magnitude between the whole group. And you can see there the tank got chained, which is fine. One of the DPSers got chained, that broke him out. And we'll keep spamming our battle prayer, building our daily power, even though at this point, our daily power's full. It's just part of our rotation. It's just keep doing it no matter what, pretty much. And second boss goes down. Easy peasy, nothing to it. You can see there my wings are, well, sometimes you can see the wings on the tank. In days past with healing, I will always keep party members' health bars and stuff on, so that it's easy for me to find and target the people that need healing. That's something that I'm changing with this new way of doing things, because it's just extra stuff in the way to block my view of certain things. So I'm not going to keep the health bars on people anymore. I'll only keep the names on them, and that's primarily just because I'm mainly watching the party window for people's health now, as opposed to watching the health bars, because the single target healing, with the at-wills and with the tab mechanic, don't even really need to be facing or targeting the tank with the tab mechanic. It's pretty much going to hit them no matter what, as long as they have the wings on them. But with the at-will heals for just throwing some small heals out onto a DPS or something that's down a little bit, It's a lot easier to find that person with just the name than it is with all the group's health bars and stuff stacked on top of each other. So that's definitely something I'm going to be changing around in my settings. And, as you can see, as I mentioned before, going through these mob clears and stuff, I could easily have slotted in an at-will damage skill and a encounter damage skill, because the healing ward is pretty much keeping everybody at full health like 95% of the time, even through these big mob pools and stuff. So these small mob pools going towards the third boss here, pretty much, nothing. My divinity's never really even dropping below like 75% for the most part. Biggest drop it ever takes is when I cast Divine Glow, or not Divine Glow, but the Healing Ward, and then before the fight's even over, for the most part, Divinity's back up to almost 100%, and I haven't even needed to cast Healing Ward a second time yet. Here, just killing the imps right before this last pack of mobs for entry to the third boss. This isn't the fastest run we've ever done for TiC, but it's definitely a pretty easy run. I think it's only about 25 minutes or so total from start to finish, and that was with taking a couple pauses here and there, letting people charge their daily powers, or you know take a bio break, or whatever the case may be. We cleared the last pack of mobs here, and going into the third boss. See, this is one of the points that I've been struggling with the new healing, and that's with the timing of things. You can see there somebody dropped a fire on the wrong panel and broke two at once, and while I was running out, I got caught. Um, but my teammate gets me up there. That was beside the point, though. A little sloppy on this third boss here, but the spot that I've been struggling with the timing and stuff is right here when the tank gets chained. If you're not really right on top of things as soon as it starts to happen, the cast time and stuff of the tab mechanic is a little slow, and if you miss on getting a couple crits on your heals in that spot, then a tank can very easily die, and you just don't have enough time to get that charged heal from the tab mechanic to keep them up. And you can see our tile management in this particular run wasn't great. Like I said, this was a little bit sloppy on the third boss on our part. And I believe coming up right here when the tank gets chained, he's gonna go down, yep, right there, just because I wasn't able to get those tab heals off on him quite fast enough. But again, this is one of our practice or test runs that I was doing with the new healing. Just trying to get my rotation and everything down good. Overall, though, like I said before, I'm pretty happy with the new healing as a whole. I know a lot of other people that I've talked to have been pretty not happy with it, but I think that's just an adjustment period, and as everybody gets used to the way the new mechanics and everything works, they'll find um, that it's just as good, if not better, than what it used to be. You can see there again, since the tank died once, it's got a death stack. It's a lot harder to keep him up through that chain. But have done runs with this pretty much exact same group since this run, and have had no issues whatsoever. You can see here, even though it was a little sloppy, we still killed the boss. Um, but yeah, I mean, my opinion of the new healing overall, I think it's more proficient and more interactive and more fun than what it was previously. Just standing around pretty much doing nothing, spamming Bastion. There's a lot more to do to keep you busy and stuff now, so I find it a little more entertaining than it was previously, but that's just my opinion. And we'll see how people start to come around about it as time goes on. But that's going to be about it for this video. Uh, as always, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you so like. Otherwise, really appreciate y'all watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.